Hey guys, welcome to our channel Debt to Life, where we share stories of individuals like you and I who have paid off a substantial amount of debt. And our goal is to empower you to also get on this debt-free journey. My name is Williams.
And my name is Gene. Thank you for joining us. If you would like to share your story with us, or you know someone who would like to share their story with us, please use the link below to submit an inquiry to share your story with us and our audience members. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's jump into a segment.
Hi, my name is Fred. My wife and I paid off $18,000 in debt in 9 months. And today I'm here to share my story on how we went from debt to life.
All right, Fred, thank you so much for having us today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you and your wife started this process of paying off that $18,000.
Absolutely. Thank you for this opportunity as well. We have a background of entrepreneurship. We have multiple streams of income that flows within our household. We took on this challenge because we noticed the debt piling up on our end, and we had to do something very, very fast. So we took it upon ourselves and went and looked at our chart, and we started charting how we're going to get debt free. And that's how we initiated on that journey. And it took a good piece of our monies, but at the end of the day, it was well worth it over the 9 month course.
But no. So what kind of debt did you guys have?
We had vehicles, we have business expenses, we had a
Mhm.
lot of credit cards and a lot of medical. Due to the previous medical conditions that I had and experience, we racked up a lot of bills. So we knew we had to get, down to the bottom of it, if we wanted to get out of slavery of debt, is what we called it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what the Bible talks about. It says that the lender is slave to the borrower, or the borrower is slave to the lender. So that's so powerful what you just mentioned.
Yeah, and like $18,000 in just 9 months. I mean, that's a journey, you know. What made you guys look at your $18,000 and decided we got to get out of this? We got to get from under this. Like, what was the catalyst, I guess, that started all of this?
Well, my wife is very disciplined when it comes to financial stability. I was not privileged in my household growing up to have that. So coming into a marriage, it was whatever I get, I just pay it off whenever I pay it off. And she was not having that. So I had to be groomed to getting to where we are now. And when I finally realized that a lot of the debt were from my aspect in on my end, then I realized that I need to reprogram my mind and thinking because it was on a poverty mindset and not a longevity mindset. And so we sat down and we looked at this financial planning that was distributed to us in our ministry about 15 years ago. And just so happened we kept it. So we pulled it out and we looked at it and we walked along that journey. And as we walked along that journey, it helped identify where we were lacking in.
As you guys went on this 9 month journey together, and I'm sure it was challenging for you, kind of just making sure that you stayed in step with that. So how did you stay motivated and disciplined while working towards that goal?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, it was not easy. It was very challenging because you go from living a life that you can spend and swipe whatever you like, especially when it comes to meals and then entertainment. We worked hard, so we felt that we can go out and spend whatever we need. But when we looked at the other end of it, it was more to that, because we wanted to not only set ourselves up for success, but set our girls up as well. And they were watching. So we had to be that example. So when we looked at the bigger picture, we identified, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to spend only $25 a week, 1 week, $25 that can consist of meals, entertainment, whatever you wanted as a necessity. And if you ran out before that next cycle started, you're on your own. And it took a lot of discipline because it went a lot of days with me fasting, yes. A lot of peanut butter and jelly, yes. But I had to stay true to make sure that we had to get where we had to go, especially being the man of the house. My wife was like, okay, well, you take this lead. You're the man. So wherever you lead, I'm gonna follow you, but we have to stick to this. And I'm always forever grateful that she allowed me to be that man of the house to proceed and do what we need to do to be debt free.
Oh man, nice. Earlier you mentioned something that was, man, I felt like I want to hear more about his take on that, or his experience, or his thought on that. You mentioned the poverty mindset versus the longevity mindset. And to you, what is the difference between those two things, and how have how were you able to make the transition from the poverty mindset to now the longevity mindset?
What the poverty mindset was, basically, I was raised in a single family home, and my mom looked at it as, long as the lights stay on, I don't care when I pay it, I'm going to pay it. That's how my mind was trained for 18 years. So when transitioning, I had to reprogram everything that I learned, at least that I thought was right. So that poverty mindset had to click off and don't come back on. So with the longevity, especially being an entrepreneur with employees, I had to make a dynamic shift, because if I'm going to have others in my life that's basically dependent on me to feed their families, I'm going to have to make a change within myself, and it had to start within the business. And the one thing that I had to learn, and the Holy Spirit, I'm very spiritual, and the Holy Spirit had to remind me, if I can't trust you with monies, then how can I trust you in the long run?
Mhm.
So I had to get in line with the Holy Spirit and His Word with basic principles when it comes to financial stability, tithing, giving. And I always was told, if a closed hand don't get fed. So if you can't get anything if it's always closed, you always have to keep it out to receive. So that's what I had to do, was just change the dynamic for basic principles from that poverty mindset to the longevity.
Nice. And you guys are on that journey. You guys are getting close to finishing that goal. What were there any surprises that came about during the journey that either caused you to have to delay your the process, make adjustments to the plan? Anything along those lines came about?
Yes, I'm glad you asked, because I shared this story a lot. With my health, I experienced a very dark moment in my life. Well, and let me back up. My wife and I and my family experienced a very dark time in my life. And one of the things that we had to look at is medical bills that we established. It was like over like $248,000 in medical bills that was accumulated. But by the grace of God, a lot of it was used from the insurance aspect. So it kind of delayed our process of trying to be debt free, because it was a sudden sickness. So that kind of stopped everything in our tracks and focused on me getting better, and then had to resume. But once we resumed, we had to realize, okay, let's continue to separate. We're going to contact the hospitals or the medical professions. We'll get all that squared away. But let's get back to the basics on these credit cards and or the necessities that we had accumulated prior to me getting sick. So, like I stated before, and when we started, that it was not easy at all. And I tell people all the time that your mind has to be determined. And if you're determined, then you're going to always come out on top to succeed.
Oh man, God is good. I'm glad that you are well and you are doing better now. I mean, like hearing your story, facing something like that and a health issue like that, and you still decided, you and your wife and for your family, your kids, we're gonna create a better future for them, and it's not going to be the same that you were brought up in. Like that is so amazing and so empowering. I mean, you say $18,000 in 9 months, but really it was more because you had to pay those bills. That's amazing. That's awesome. Um, what is something that you feel like you and your wife missed out on doing the journey of paying off your debt?
Ooh. We miss traveling over that course of that period. We're known for going on a lot of cruises throughout the year. We missed out on our date nights. We spent a lot of time home dating. Um, so much shopping. I don't have that issue. But it was not. It was good not seeing the Amazon driver come up. Needless to say, but it was things like that because we had to choose. We had to choose what we're gonna do with $25 throughout the week, and that was tough. It was really tough.
And how did your relationship with money evolve during that process?
I appreciate money like never before. It's very valuable. It has that asset that we need. And people say, well, money don't bring happiness. Yes, it does. Because them $25 was a little depressing. Like, I want to go and get this shake, but then I gotta choose $5 and then it's gonna leave me with $20 and it's only Monday. So yes, it does. It makes you and it breaks you as well. But it also made me appreciate it. And nowadays I'm very tensed on what I purchase. Just because I have it don't mean that I need to spend it.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah, and it's I actually was conversing with someone a few days ago, and who she too she's on this journey of paying off about 40,000. And one of the things that we talked about was that it's one thing to get out of debt, but if your relationship with money doesn't um change, if you don't continue to practice those same principles, budgeting, putting a muzzle on your mouth to not frivolously spend, then you're gonna get back into the same place, the same boat that you came out of. So it's really nice that you guys were able to kind of transition and get off of that. And so you paid off the debt 9 months later, and I'm sure you guys transitioned from $25 a week to much, much higher. So how how did you guys celebrate getting out of debt?
Actually we took a cruise after we paid off the debt. It was a woo-saw moment because now we can kind of get back in the groove of what we used to do, but then we still was very sensitive on what we just um, got through. So we already knew, like, okay, moving forward, we need to continue to stay like this. And I'm the type, I don't try to use the credit cards unless we absolutely need them. So we made a deal that we take all our credit cards except two major credit cards for emergencies and keep them on us at all times. And we
Mm,
stash the others away because then we don't want to get back into that habit.
correct,
And
correct.
that's how we still focus still, to this day, even in business. And
Mm,
we are transitioning right now into a bigger location. My wife is with her esthetician business. And I told her, I say, listen, let's buckle down on how much we need to spend. Let's keep that budget. Don't go over, but stay right there and know that we can pay it off in a timely manner. So we
mm,
still basically practicing good money management.
Wow, that's so nice. Especially the part where you said going on a cruise and just a woo-saw moment. You know, a lot of people they use their credit cards or they borrow money to go on vacation. So if you spend, I don't know, just pulling numbers, $5,000 in a vacation, it's actually really more because when you come back, you have to pay that money back with interest. So you're looking at this, you're enjoying this vacation and it's not even paid for yet because the more money you use for it is borrowed money. Now, when you come back home, you gotta worry about, oh man, I gotta pay back this $5,000, and then you have this monthly payment on it, and then before you know it, there's another monthly payment, and it's like, oh my goodness. So like being able to go on vacation, like you said, a woo-saw moment, like this is already paid for. When I get back home, it's not gonna be a headache. I can really enjoy this moment and live in this moment. That is that is that is that's nice because not everybody is able to do that or actually chooses to do that, you know. So man, way to go for you and your wife. I mean, so the $25. Sorry, I feel like I'm harping on things you've already said. So the $25. So was it like if it's Saturday or Sunday and you still have $10 left, does that $10 follow you into the next week, or is it's gone? You don't see it ever again.
Yes, if it's Saturday and you still have $10 and your start over date is Sunday, then you carry the $10 over. So it's up to you to spend however you're going to spend. And 9 out of 10, we both did good because sometimes we might have $15 left over to carry over for the next week. So it's one of them things that we carried over. But I must put a plug right here. One of the things that I did notice that through the transition on when we were trying to do everything, since we're entrepreneurs, we did get a side part-time job. So our main income of being an entrepreneur was still flowing in our household to our accounts. And then we used our part-time income to utilize to pay off the debt. And it was a lot. It was a lot because we were missing each other at the same time, but we knew it was going to be well worth it at the end of the day. And that's the back end of it. So we didn't always use our funds as our main income. We used our second income that we had coming in.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, one of the things to note to our audience is that the formula to paying off debt is either you increase what you bring in, whether you get a second job, a third job, a fourth job, or you reduce what you put out, removing subscriptions, cutting out eating out, limiting or removing traveling altogether, and all the likes. And with that additional money, you utilize that to put towards the debt. And there are many ways to go about it. One of the one highly acclaimed one is the debt snowball that a lot of people talk about, but basically tackling the different debts, that aligning, categorizing all your debt and then paying it, each of them accordingly. But for you, Fred, and even for you speaking on behalf of your wife, how was it after you guys paid off that debt? What was it like? How did life change mentally, emotionally, physically? Like how did that those attributes change in your life?
It changed a little bit. We already had that dynamic in the marriage. It was just leading up into the marriage because like I stated, that poverty mindset. So once we got a hold of everything, we realized that okay, this is a power couple that you're dealing with because we know how to manage monies. And one of the things that my wife is very big about, she was like, if I don't need a car, I'm not gonna go and get it. And here I am on the other end, and I was like, listen, I need to go to a dealership. If something happened, they can fix it, but I had to reprogram that. So now I'm at that stage of my life that, hey, I can deal without it. I don't need it. I don't want it. And it helped us a lot because one of the things that I've learned in marriage is communication and finances are the biggest things when it comes to marriages. And we always told ourselves that we're not going to argue when it comes to our finances. And I don't say we, I mean, I don't say I and, hers, it's ours. It's ours. We're in this together. And so when we look at the scope now, it's like your debt is my debt. It's not your debt. That's no, we don't operate like that. So that's one of the good key opponent in a marriage that you work together as a team.
Oh man, that's awesome. You said power couple, and everything you just said there literally points to being a power couple. I remember when me and my wife were dating before I decided to go 100% in, I wanted to make sure that we could think similarly about our finances. In other words, can we come together and decide this is how we're gonna go financially? If we can't, I wasn't willing to proceed forward simply because more than half of the divorces that happen in the United States is due to finances, and I wasn't willing to take that shot. So I was like, if we can't agree on this now, there's no need to proceed forward. Um, so you saying that that is a huge marker of if you are going to be a power couple, or if you're going to be a arguing couple when it comes to your finances or even your relationship as a whole. Because when you look into it, the money, you might be frustrated because of this, but it might be being backed up because of the finances, that frustration.
Right.
And you probably don't even know it. But now that you guys are, completely debt free, if you guys are frustrated, then okay, why am I frustrated? Money is not a part of it anymore. That's a huge part of it.
Yes.
Um, so yeah. So being debt free now, what is one goal, financial goal that you and your wife have now?
Well, one of our financial goal is to be well established where we are able to retire at 42. That is our goal. We've been working since we were 14, her and I, and we have gotten to that place now. So we have established, our different mutual funds and things of that nature to basically ready to sit it down. And while we got that, um, my grandparents, I saw them when they retired. One of them started having back issue, the other one started having knee issues, and we was like, that's not going to be our story. So that kind of helped us prepare for our journey to retire early and to continue to enjoy life.
So what are some tips you would offer to people that kind of decide to, after hearing your story, they say, you know what, maybe it's not as hard as I might have thought, or even for individuals that are in the process of becoming debt free, they've started that journey already. What words of encouragement or things would you share with them as far as tips to continue, and what they can practical steps to go about doing so?
Well, some of the practicals tips that I can allude to is you don't necessarily have to be married to start this journey, because I even initiated when I was single, because my philosophy was, no girl ain't gonna want to run up on the brother if he don't have himself together. That was my philosophy. So I had to bring my A game. So when it was time for me to get married, then everything was well established. So that's tip number one. Just don't look at it from a marriage perspective if you're single. But then to allude with that as well, if you are trying to make things happen and you feel like it's a struggle, start small. Don't look at everyone else's journey, because we are at our own pace. It's how you finish. And if you're determined, you're going to get to that finish line. But the first key is getting started. So I highly recommend that it's books and literatures out there. It's YouTube videos out there to help you establish and to get started. And I'm so fortunate enough over the last 7 years, Lake Sumter State College invite me in every single year to teach on financial literature to high school students over the summer. So to me, that shows that I'm doing something right or did something right. But if I did not have the experience to back it up, then I won't be in a position where I'm at now to teach high school students. So I leave you all with that tip that it's no race. You're running your own race, but you have to get started. And I leave you all with that.
Thank you so much, Fred, for this insight. Thank you to we're certain that your story will bless someone regarding their journey as they go on their journey, or as they contemplate going on the journey. And for our guest, thank you so much for listening to us, for tuning in once more. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to share with your colleagues. And if this content is helping you, or if you know anyone that's either debt free or you yourself are debt free, feel free to use the link in the bottom to register to become one of the guests on the show as well, because there's so many people that are desiring to hear stories that can empower them. And one of the things that you mentioned, Fred, is that not to look at other people's journey and compare it to yours. We've had various guests on here, some of which have paid off their debt in 8 years. You've done it in 9 years. Another guest did it in 20 something, 23 years or 23 months. Another one did it in 8 years. So every story is different. Every value is different. It's just based off of what your life is, what your the cards that have been dealt to you. Evaluate that and use that to just catapult yourself to getting out of debt and to living a more enriching life, basically. So again, thank you so much for your story. We're really excited to be able to share this with those with our viewers.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I greatly appreciate it.